everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Cow. Today we are making this spiral wall hanging, so not strictly a circle, but as we did on the previous pattern, we worked with rings, and we're working with a big ring today, or big hoop, making this beautiful spiral which you can use as many colours as you like. I've got 12 different colours, but you can use 6 colours and have 2 of each, however you like to do it. So stay tuned and let's see how to make it. So to start our wall hanging, you will need a hoop or ring of some kind. Now, as you would have seen on the photos before, I have made one around an embroidery hoop. This is what I'm going to do today. This is a 6-inch embroidery hoop. So I'm going to use this, and I will be working over both pieces, and then this part at the top will be suitable for hanging it up. So I'm going to use this, but Charlotte, one of our testers in the team, made hers on a big hula hoop, and it looks stunningly brilliant, and that's what you will have seen on the picture as well. It is gorgeous. I was hoping to make one on a big hoop today to show you, but unfortunately I couldn't get a hold of a suitable hoop in time, so I'm just going to show you how you can make it on a smaller one. In the pattern file in the group on Facebook, which the link is in the description below as always, you can see in there where it shows using a big hula hoop, and it does look stunning, but it will look equally as stunning in a smaller hoop as well. I assure you it will look great, whatever size hoop or ring you use. So you will also need 12 stitch markers or safety pins, something to secure your loops on the end of your yarn. So 12 stitch markers, your hook that corresponds with whatever weight of yarn you're using. I'm just using regular DK light worsted, and a 4.5mm hook. And then you will need 12 working ends of yarn, so you could choose 6 colours and work from the pull from the inside and the outside of the yarn, or you could have separate balls of yarn. I've actually got 12 different colours today. I'm just going to really mix it up and use 12 different colours. That's it. And you might want a cup of tea or coffee to keep you going as well. So we're going to start by covering our hoop. Okay, so obviously you could leave your ring or hoop plain if you wanted. If you wanted this with being wooden, you could leave this plain. If you've got a hula hoop, you might find that you want to cover up whatever colour or plastic that is. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can cover your ring, and then we'll move on to making the spiral. Okay, so I'm going to cover mine in black because I'm using lots of different colours on the actual spiral itself, so I want to have a nice plain colour for the actual ring itself. Now, one of the easiest things you can do is attach your yarn and then just wrap it around. Okay, you could just wrap it around, keep going until you've covered the whole thing. You could just strap this, okay, until you've covered your whole ring. And this is crochet, so we're going to crochet, or I'm going to crochet, and this is what the pattern shows us as well, is making single crochets around our ring. So I'm just going to get this out of here. Okay, just to say, if you hear any squeaking, I don't have a mouse trapped. I have a fan that's squeaking every time it turns, but it's too warm to turn it off, so if you hear that, then that's what it is. Okay, so if you've seen the previous video on working with rings, you'll have seen how to single crochet around your ring, and you may have done this before anyway. I'm just going to show you briefly how to do that in case you haven't before. So have your slip knot on your hook, and then hold your tail to your hoop, and then go into the ring, and then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay, so you're using this just as you would any other crochet ring or magic ring essentially. Okay, but it can be trickier because, you know, your hoop's wider. So into the ring, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops for your single crochet, and then just push them together to cover, and this will cover eventually when I've done the last stitch. So I'm just going to do a couple more of those to show you. So it can be tricky when your ring is kind of rigid and solid and you're working around it, but just take your time and move your hoop however you need to. Okay, and as you can see, I'm working over the tail to secure that. Now, because this is wood and it's not going to slide as easily as on plastic, just every few stitches make sure you're sliding them around and bunching them together. Okay, and then eventually you will have your hoop covered. So just keep going, working your single crochets around your hoop, and when you get to the end you'll need to fasten off. Because of the type of hoop I've got here, I can't slip stitch into the first stitch. If I had a continuous hoop, I would slip stitch into my first stitch and then fasten off. But for this one I'm going to need to fasten off on this side as well. So I will see you when I've done this entire hoop. Okay, so for my last few stitches I have done what I did at the start. I have I scooched these around and then made extra here so that then I can slide them up and under where this screw part is. Okay, so if you are using an embroidery hoop you may wish to do the same. It's quite hard to work your stitch around there, so then just go around and straighten your stitches. Get them all nicely in line, like so. Make sure they're all spread out nicely and it's all nicely covered. And then obviously, because this is an embroidery hoop, I've just got this little part at the top that's not covered, and that's fine. So if you have a complete hoop, such as a hula hoop, then you can join completely up and then you can do a slip stitch into your first stitch. But as this is, I'm just going to fasten off, and there we go. And then I will just weave this through the hoop under those stitches. And there we go, that's your first step completed. So let's make the spiral. Now the spiral we make away from the hoop and then we attach it at the end. So let's have a look at that. Okay, now you can see just yarn on screen. Now I have a clean washing up bowl here with all of my 12 colours in. It looks a bit messy because I've just been finding the ends of my yarn ready to start working on. So I've got all 12 colours in here, all neatly lined up, just hitting the camera. So I've got all my colours in here to keep them neat and tidy, which I thought was the easiest way to work on this with 12 colours. You might not have 12 separate balls of yarn, but that's what I have today. So I'm just going to find somewhere to put this and then I'll show you how to start on the actual spiral itself. Just showing you that actually, putting them in something all together may actually be quite helpful and keep them from getting quite tangled. Okay, if you are using a large hoop, such as the hula hoop, then you may wish to have a solid ring for the centre of this. The reason being that when it becomes large and we attach it to the hoop by sort of some chains at the end, when you're pulling it and stretching it out, your centre could distort quite a lot as it's quite big and you're trying to make it quite tight on how it's attached to your outside hoop. So using some kind of solid ring in the centre will give you a really neat circle in the centre. So by all means use one of these if you wish. This is a split ring from like a key ring. You could use the ring from a drinks bottle or something if you prefer, or a curtain ring or something. If you're using a smaller hoop, like mine is only 6 inches, then this isn't quite so necessary, but you could use it if you wish. Okay, and if you are using this kind of a ring, let me show you how you want to start. If you're using this kind of a ring and you're using a big hoop, then you want to start with a double treble, and you want to do a standing double treble. Is the best way to do it. It will give you the neatest look. You can also attach and then chain 5, but to do a standing double treble, you want to have your slip knot on your hook, hold your yarn tail to the ring, yarn over 3 times for a double treble. Okay, so this is the US double treble. In the UK, that would be a triple treble. Okay, so yarn over 3 times, go into the ring, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, oops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Oops, the last one, a bit tricky. Okay, now you do have this piece of yarn alongside your stitch. You can either leave that there and it will kind of fade into the background with all the rest of the stitches, or you can pull that out and then you can weave that in at the end. Okay, entirely up to you. So that's how you do your standing double treble, and then you will work double trebles if you're using a big ring. So your double treble, remember, is yarn over twice, yarn over 3 times, okay, and then into the ring, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, through 2, and through 2. So a big tulle stitch. Okay, if you are using a smaller hoop such as my 6-inch, then you will want to do just a treble crochet to start. Okay, and again you can do a standing treble crochet, which would be done in exactly the same way as I showed you how to do the standing double treble. So you would just take your ring and yarn over twice, into the ring, yarn over, pull through. Done that wrong, let me show you that again. So yarn over twice, hold that yarn against your ring, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Oops. So that first one's always a little, or last one's always a little tricky because it's by your slip knot. There we go. So slightly shorter stitch, and again you can leave this yarn to just sort of sit against the stitch, or you can pull that through and have that to weave in at the end. Entirely up to you. Okay, so that's how you would do your standing stitch if you're using a ring. Okay, when you've made your first 2 stitches, you want to either pull up a long loop to leave this yarn, we're going to use the next colour, or you can take a stitch marker and attach to your loop, okay, a stitch marker or a safety pin or something, okay. So I'm going to continue doing my trebles, whatever size you've done, whether you've done double treble or treble, that's what you want to stick with for this round, okay. So you want to leave that colour, take your next colour, let's find the end of my colour, there we go, my fan's trying to blow my work away, just put the scissors there to hold it. So because this ring hasn't been made the same, because this colour is not in the ring, I can use a standing stitch for this one. So that's what I'm going to do. So you want to do your standing stitch or chain, entirely up to you. Whatever you did for the first 2 stitches, you want to do for the next 2 stitches, okay? So although I did a chain, but I can do a standing stitch now. So I'm going to do a standing treble crochet for this next stitch. Now you will have a lot of ends of yarn going on, but just bear with it and persevere, and it will be worth it in the end. So do this treble, okay, and then I'm going to do a second treble. So whatever size stitch you're doing, do your 2 stitches of that size in that colour, and then pop a stitch marker on or pull up a loop. Okay, and then you're going to continue this for all 12 colours. 2 stitches of each of your 12 colours, or 12 ends. Okay, so you're going to have you will have 24 stitches at the end of this round. Now you might not think 24 will fit in here, but they will. Just squeeze them in, squish them in. Okay, so 24 stitches altogether. You'll have 12 separate lots of stitches, 12 stitch markers. Okay, so continue that around, and then I'll see you at the end of the round. Okay, so here we go. I have all of my 12 colours in my ring, and as you may remember, mine were trebles. You may have done double trebles, so squeeze them all in there. And they've all got a stitch marker on. Now I did go over some of the ends as I was going, but I've still got some here, but I will deal with those afterwards. Okay, so I'm just going to ignore those. Now the easiest thing to stop your yarn from tangling, if you keep going round in a circle, you will end up with all of this getting twisted and knotted. So the best thing to do is to just go back around the opposite way to what you worked, back around and back to your starting colour, and then they will have untwisted. Okay, it might not look like it when you look sort of down here and below, when you could see my bowl down here, but just twist them in reverse back to your starting one. So my starter was my white, okay, and then as I go I'll be working around like this, and then before I do the next round I'll just twist it back, ready to start again. Okay, and if you keep doing that, it will stop your yarn from twisting uncontrollably. Okay, and you just remember to go backwards at the end of every round. Okay, so from here on you are going to either use a treble crochet stitch or a double crochet stitch. Now if you did the double treble on this round here, you are going to use treble crochets, so that's 2 yarn overs. Okay, if you have done the treble like me, then you will want to do double crochets. Okay, so this is for a smaller hoop, double crochets now, and that's the same throughout the whole pattern now, double crochets or treble crochets. Okay, so just remember that. So I'm not going to actually say do 3 doubles or do 3 trebles, I'm just going to say 3 stitches. Okay, just so that I don't end up saying the wrong stitch and confusing you. So I'm just going to say 3 stitches or 2 stitches, whatever. Okay, so just to remind you, if you have treble crochets, you're going to now use double crochets. If you have double trebles, you're going to use treble crochets. So 1 size smaller than the stitch you've already used. Okay? Get that into your head, fix it into your memory, and then we're going to start with round 2. Okay, so the next thing we need to do for round 2 is take your starting colour and remove that stitch marker. Pop the loop on your hook, and then you're going to chain 1. Okay, and then into the next colour along you're going to do 3 stitches whatever size stitches they are that you're doing, you're going to do 3 stitches into the second stitch along. Okay, 3 stitches. And there we go, that's it, chain 1 and 3 stitches. So pop your stitch marker back on there and pick up the next loop. So my next loop is the colour that I just worked into, this pink or cerise colour. So pick up that loop and chain 1. And then you're going to work 3 stitches in the second stitch of the next colour. So that's my peachy colour, 3 stitches in there. Okay, and then pop your stitch marker back on there, and then pick up your next loop. So that's my peachy colour, always is the colour that you just worked into. Okay, so I just worked into the peach and now I'm picking up the peach. So chain 1 and then 3 stitches into the second stitch of the next colour. Okay, and pop that loop back on your hook, and I'll show you that one more time. So pick up the loop of your next colour, that's my orange that I just worked into, pick up that loop and make a chain 1. Oops. And then 3 stitches into the second stitch of your next colour, so that's my lilac. So 3 stitches into there, and that is how simple this round is. So pick up the next colour, chain 1 and then 3 stitches into the second stitch of the next colour, and that is that. So I'm going to continue with the rest of my colours and I will see you when I've done all of these colours. So I've done 11 of my colours so far. I'm on to my last one, and I just wanted to show you this one, that because we've started with the white, you will have the, or your first colour that you've got, you will have the chain 1 and the other stitches there. So just remember that you're going into this second stitch here, okay? So do your last chain 1, and then you want your 3 stitches in the second of these stitches here. Just ignore this part that you've done here, okay? You just wanted to kind of make sure that you were aware of that, just because it can look a little different and if you're not used to doing this kind of thing. So there we go. Let me just pop my stitch marker back on this and let's have a look at this round. So here we go. I know it's quite hard to see the pattern forming with all the stitch markers going on and everything, but hopefully if you're making this up at the same time, you can see it starting to form on yours. You can see each colour, we have those 2 tall stitches and then we have those 3 shorter ones, tall, short, going around, and each time they're just going on to the next colour, like so. Okay, so before we start the next round, just remember to turn your work back the opposite way to the start, just to untwist those yarns. And as I said, it might look like they're getting tangled further down, but I assure you, if you keep untwisting, so we're going to keep going around this way to work, and then we go back this way to untwist. And that should keep them from getting tangled. Okay, so let's start on round 3. So round 3. Now round 3, we are going to work in that chain 1 space that we made. On the previous round, we did some chain 1s, and then we did our 3 stitches. We're going to work into that chain space. Okay. So pick up the loop from your first colour and we are going to chain 1. Grab enough yarn Okay, so chain 1, and then we're going to do 3 stitches into this chain 1 space of that next colour. So my chain's just gone small, let me make that again. 3 stitches in this chain 1 space, sticking with exactly the same size stitch as you used on the previous round. Okay, so chain 1 and then 3 stitches in the chain 1 space, and then pop your stitch marker back on or pull up a long loop. You might find that as you get further on this, that you might prefer to just leave a long loop and then not have to keep putting your stitch markers on and off. It depends how confident you are at leaving a loop. Okay, so take the next colour, the next loop, and chain 1, and then 3 stitches in the next chain 1 loop, so that next colour. 3 stitches in there, and that is what you're going to do all the way around on this one. Just grab some more yarn. Okay, just lots. 3 stitches, there we go. Pop my marker back on. So pick up the next loop, chain 1, and then do 3 stitches in the next space. Pick up the next loop and do a chain 1 and then 3 stitches in the next space. It's that simple. So I will see you at the end of this round. Okay, here's what I have so far, and I'm just going to do my last colour just to show you that one, because the last one always looks different because we've already worked into the first. We've already worked the first one, sorry. Okay, so we've got these 2 sections of our first colour, but we just want to go into this chain space here next to these two tall stitches. Okay, so chain 1 and then just do your stitches into that space, and that's all there is to it. Nice and simple. There we go. So I've just taken to pulling up big long loops now instead of stitch markers. It's just a little quicker. Oops, and I've got one there. Have I missed? No, I thought I'd missed one there, but it's just the stitch marker. Whew, I thought I'd missed some stitches, but I haven't. Okay, let's take these off. Okay, so if you can see this at all, in amongst all the ends of yarn and the loops, this is how it's looking. You can kind of see, now it's sort of bunching up a little, but as we go further it will be fine, and when we attach this to our loop we will sort of stretch it out slightly anyway. So if I can just encourage us to lay flat, there you can probably see it a bit better. So you can see this colour kind of coming around and like this, and eventually it will come around and each colour will just merge around in a lovely spiral. So it is time for round 4. Okay, if you haven't already, just give your spiral a reverse spin so that you're ready to start again, and stop your yarn getting tangled. So round 4 and round 5 are done in the same way as we've done this previous round. So I'm going to get you started on this round, and then I'm going to leave you to do this round and then do one more round like it. Okay, so go to your first colour and pop that loop back on your hook, and we are going to chain 1. So just as we did before, chain 1, and then we're going to do 3 stitches in our chain 1 space. Now this time our chain 1 space is over here. We've got 3 stitches and then the chain 1 space. Last time it was next to where we were, but now it's over, a bit like if you do the granny square, it's in between these 2 sort of sets of 3. Okay, so do 3 stitches in there, and that's that. And then the next one, pop that loop on your hook. You can see this is much quicker than undoing and doing up stitch markers, but it can get a bit more tricky if you're not used to pulling up loops. So again, chain 1 and then go in this chain space between your 2 sets of stitches and make 3 stitches. Okay, and pull up that loop, and then I'll show you once more. Pop the next colour onto your hook, chain 1 and then 3 stitches between these next 2 sets of stitches in that chain 1 space, and that is as easy as that round is. So continue all the way around until you get back around here to where you started, and you'll be going in between these 2 sets here. Okay, so it'll be this loop from the yellow and you'll be going over across these 3 into this space here. Okay, so do that and then start on your first colour again and go round for a second round in exactly the same way. Okay, and I'll see you after these 2 rounds. So here we go. Hopefully you can see the spiral starting to form now. You can see them all sort of coming out. And if you decide to follow the written pattern at any time, or you're not sure what round you're on, the easy way with this pattern to know what round you're on is just take one colour and count. So if I take this green, I've got 1 cluster, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so just look at one colour and see how many sets of stitches you have. So I have this first tall one, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 rounds. We've done 1 set in each round. So that's an easy way to know what round you're on. So that means we are on to round 6. So round 6 we are doing slightly differently because we need to add some increase to this to stop it bunching in. So a bit like when we make circles and we have to increase, we don't have to increase this every round because we've got some chains and things going on, but we do need to pop an increase in now. So you're going to stick with whatever size stitches you've been using, and we're just going to do this round slightly differently. Okay, not much differently, but just slightly. Okay, so before we start, make sure you've spun your work back around to untangle those yarns. Let me just see, have I done that? Or have I not done that? I have done that. Okay, so what we're going to do, take your first colour as usual and pop that loop on your hook, and then we are going to chain 1 as usual, and then in the chain 1 space this time we're going to do 3 stitches and then a chain 1 and then 3 stitches. Okay, so 3 stitches, chain 1, oops, that was a bit of a big chain 1, my yarn just caught on something I think, a chain 1 and then 3 more stitches in that very same space. So a bit like when you make a corner on a square. Okay, so chain 1, 3 stitches, chain 1, 3 stitches. Let me show you that on this next colour. So take your next colour and chain 1, and then in that space 3 stitches, chain 1 and 3 more stitches in that same space. And that is that. How simple is that? So almost the same as before, but just a bit different with doing the chain 1 and then another set of 3. Okay, so continue that all the way around and then I will see you for the next round. So here we are at the end of round 6. Now, I told you about counting these sets to tell you how many rounds you've done. remember you've got this in one stitch here. Okay, so that's going to alter it now. But this is what I have at the end of round 6, and I love that. Looking so good, so good. But there is a snag. It is too big for my hoop. This is my hoop, and it's too big for my hoop. My hoop is too small for that. I mean, that like that looks pretty good, but it's too big to attach as we were going to do. So I ideally need to take a round out, or I should have started this with even smaller stitches to have more rounds. So I'm going to worry about that in a bit, about how mine's going to work up. The good thing about this is that you can stop on any round. So if you want a small spiral, you can stop on any round you like. If you want it bigger, you can just keep going and making it bigger, which is the really, really good thing about this. And this in the middle, this longer stitch, you could make that into a smaller stitch. It could be the same size as the rest of them. It doesn't matter. So you can play about with this and see what you think. Now, if you've got a bigger hoop, such as a hula hoop or something bigger, I'm going to show you the rest of the rounds, but I'm not going to do it for every single colour, okay? I'm going to show you how you do the other rounds by just showing you on 2 or 3 colours here, okay? So this is round 6. Now let me show you round 7. Okay, so for this round we have got 2 spaces here. So we've got our first chain 1, which we usually have, and then we've got this other chain space here between our 2 sets of 3 stitches. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and then make 3 stitches in this first space. And then we're going to chain 1 again and do 3 stitches in this next chain 1 space. Okay. There we go. So chain 1, 3 in the first space, chain 1, 3 in that second space. Okay, round to the next colour, and I'll show you that once more. So chain 1, 3 stitches in the first space, chain 1 and then 3 stitches in the next space. Okay, there we go, that's how we do that. I'm just going to do one more colour off camera, but you can continue all the way around. Okay, so the white, the pink and the peach are the ones that I've just done. Okay, so that was round 7. Round 8, we're going to do exactly the same as what we've just done. We are going to take our first colour, chain 1, and make 3 stitches in that first space. Chain 1 and then 3 stitches in that second space. So this is where it again becomes a bit like when we do the granny square. Okay, and then pull up your loop. Okay, and then over to the next colour, chain 1, 3 stitches in the first space, my yarn getting caught. Okay, sorted out that tangle that I had, and then chain 1 and then 3 stitches in that next space. Oops. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do this last one off camera. You can continue all the way around. And here we go at the end of round 8. We've got these ones here. You can see how that's working up and looking great. So let's have a look at the next round, round 9. So round 9 is the same as earlier when we did our increase, when we did 2 in the same space. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 3 stitches, chain 1 and 3 stitches in this first space. So 3 stitches, chain 1 and 3 stitches. Okay, and now in a variation to before, because we have a second space here, we're going to chain 1 and then we're going to just do 3 stitches in this second space, just 3. Okay, because we've already done our increase, we're doing these 2 in this one. So 3 stitches. Okay, so let me show you that again, because it could be slightly confusing because it's quite a different sort of stitch count. So chain 1, 3 stitches in the next space, chain 1, 3 more stitches in the same space, chain 1, 3 stitches in this second space, okay, and that's what you're going to do all the way around. Chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3 in one space, chain 1 and 3 in the next space. Okay, round 10. You have 3 spaces now. You have one between the 2 sets of stitches and 1 there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 chain spaces. So you are going to do a chain 1 as usual, chain 1, then 3 stitches in the first space, chain 1, 3 stitches in the second space, chain 1, 3 stitches in the third space. Okay, so chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, and you're going to do that all the way around. I can't continue showing you these rounds because if not I would have to keep continuing on all the rest of my colours, and then I would just have to undo it, which would be a huge shame. I hate undoing work, especially work that looks good. So chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, all the way around, and then it'll be round 11. Okay, for round 11, now mine looks different to how yours will look because I've still got round 9 on here, and you've done round 10. So for round 11, you will still have those 3 spaces to work into. They will just be spread out like this row here. Okay, so let me zoom in. Okay, so like this one here, 1, 2, 3 spaces. That's what you will have, okay, 3 nice defined spaces. And what you're going to do is in the first 2, you're going to do just what you've done on this previous round. So you'll chain 1 and then you'll do 3 into one space, chain 1 and then 3 into the next space. Chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, and then you'll do a chain 1 and then you'll do this 2 sets again. You'll do 3, chain 1 and 3 all in the same space. Okay, so 3, 3 and then 3, chain 1, 3. Make sure you put your chain 1s in between. Okay, so chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, and then another chain 1, 3 in the same space. Okay, remember though, you can stop whenever this is the right size and that's absolutely fine. But if you're continuing this to be nice and large, then that's what you want to do for round 11. And there is one more round left that we've got in the pattern, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so for round 12 and the final round in our pattern, you will have now, from after doing round 11, you will have 4 of these big gaps. Okay, well, you have 4 spaces. One will be like this one with your stitches, space and stitches, and then you'll have 2 and a third. So you have, okay, so you will have 4 spaces altogether. Just have a look. You should have 1, 2, 3 of these, and then one like this. Okay, so you're going to do your usual stitches now. You're going to do chain 1 and then 3, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, 3 in each of your 4 spaces, and that's it. When you've finished, don't fasten off your yarn, because I'm going to show you how we are going to attach it to the ring. Okay, so just do 3 stitches in each of your 4 spaces with a chain 1 in between. Okay, so I have undone the rounds that made my spiral too big for my hoop, and one day I am going to get a hoop and make a really big one on a hula hoop, when I can get a hula hoop. So I've undone, so I've only got round 5 on here, 5 rounds. So what you want to do is, assuming that your ring is bigger than this and your work is not the size of your hoop, it's probably about there, so you've probably got space like this or bigger, okay, depending on what size hoop you've got. You might have a nice big space at the top and at the sides. What you want to do is center your spiral on your circle, okay, your hoop. So just center it, and obviously, like I said, yours might just be in the middle of your hoop if you've got a very big hoop. Okay, and what you want to do with your ends of yarn, let's take this off of here. What you want to do is chain a number of chains to make your spiral reach the side of the hoop. Okay, so if this was like this, I would chain enough to reach to the side, okay, because that's what's going to attach it. So make some chains to attach to the side. Just take your hook and then just chain. Okay, that's all you need to do. Make some chains. Don't fasten off just yet in case you need to make it bigger, but make some chains so that it reaches to your hoop. And do that with all of your colours. With mine, I don't actually need to make any chains because mine fits already. Okay, so make your chains and then we will do the next step. Okay, so the next step is you will need to cut your yarn so that you can tie it onto your hoop. So I'm going to cut my yarn and just leave a good sort of 6 inches at least to attach that. And just to secure this, I'm going to just pull that through. Okay, so if you've made chains, you can just pull that through the last chain. So I'm going to cut each of these to about 6 inches or so, and then pull them through to secure. Okay, just pull those through like so to secure. I'm going to do that with all of them and then I'll see you back. Okay, I have cut all my ends, they're all ready to attach. So the simplest way you can do this, make sure you have it centered, and you want to take the opposite, so make sure you count. So I'm just going to put some markers in here. So I'm going to pop one in my pink, and then I'm going to count 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this blue is the opposite. So what have I got there? I've got blue. So let me put a blue marker in here for the opposites, and then let me do 1, 2, 3. Put one in this. Okay, apologies about that. My battery had run out, so I'm back now. I had to wait for it to charge. So just to say, you want to attach these by the opposites, and then the other opposites, and then in the in-betweens, just to sort of stretch it out evenly. You can see I haven't tied these on completely evenly, but hey. And all I did was just tied it around, secured it at the back with some knots, and then I've just finished off the middle. I just sort of tied some of those ends together, so it can't be seen from the front, because this will hang up and no one will see any of these knots at the back. But you could by all means weave those in and do these however you like. So this is how I've done mine, and as I said, this part in the centre here will be good for being able to hang it onto a hook or something. And if needed, I can just take some yarn and make a chain here to hang it up. So there we go. There is my spiral wall hanging, and how good does that look? It's only a small one, and I know that the bigger these get, the more colour you have of each, the more you have of each colour, the better it looks. But this is just my tiny one here to show you. Have a look at the big one that Charlotte made. I'll pop another photo up of that in a moment at the end. Have fun playing with the hoops and rings. So this isn't strictly a circle, but we make it into a circle with the hoop on the outside. So this is the last of our circle projects and circle patterns. So next month we have something different for you, so stay tuned for that. And do show us photos of what you've made in the group, the link below, as I said earlier, or on Instagram with #PAL. It would be great to see what you've made with these. So until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your teeth get cold.